This is not a trick, nor an illusion. What you're listening to is quite real. Don't believe me? Then why not head over to patreon.com/WassessCastProductions. For less than the cost of Stark Industries glasses, you can support our show. As bonus episodes, early access, exclusive shows, content, just for you. No need to blow up your friends with drones. We got you covered. Again, that's patreon.com/WassessCastProductions. Enjoy the show. Script notes. We're never going to be script notes. Nobody can live up to John August, not even John. But we're the After Credits Cast, the only film podcast to admit we're not perfect, but we try to every single time. I'm your host, AJ Jonah Weseskerson, and I am joined by Rysterio Metters.
Even on podcasts, I'm the hero.
If you want to follow our illusions and bullshit, you should go to Patreon, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. All this time, I keep messing it up every now and then. Peepa, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, maybe iHeartRadio. I haven't gotten the response to that one, whether it's gone through or not. I'm going to find out soon, hopefully. Other platforms, hopefully down the road. We'll see. They should be here by now, by the time it comes out. But no promises. No promises. Ryan, if they want to email us with requests for where they want to hear our podcast at, where could they send those requests to?
They can send those emails to my Peter Tingle is tingling. Oh shit, no, nope, sorry. That's evacstation@gmail.com.
Oh, the Peter Tingle.
The Peter Tingle.
You know, I assumed that she was talking about his dick for a minute, but that would have been weird.
Well, she threw the banana at his face, so I thought that was an odd time to reference his dick. But
yeah, maybe. Guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's been a great season. Don't you think, Ryan?
It has.
Been a great season, Spider-Man season. Had a few surprise episodes here and there. An extra Nick Cage movie you didn't see coming. A Venom
surprise Nick Cage.
A movie sneaking in from Venom. Who would have thought? And today is not going to be an exception. We have said no more MCU this year because we needed a break, but we are back with the final Countdown to Infinity from Phase 3. Boom, baby, we're here. This week is 2019 Spider-Man Far From Home, directed by John Watts and written by Chris McKenna and Eric Sommers. The film earned a total of $1.13 billion at the box office, which is 7 times what it cost. It allowed Marvel to continue sharing the Spider-Man license with Sony. More on that in a little bit. I'm sure
7 times return on investment. Jesus Christ.
And Sony thought it wasn't worth keeping the deal going. For just a minute, they thought that.
It's fucking Spider-Man, guys. That man is a walking printing press of money. I'm sorry. Continue, please. It's just these numbers boggle my mind sometimes.
The cast includes, of course, Jon Favreau, Kobe Smulders, Samuel L. Jackson, Marissa Tomei, Zendaya, Jacob Batalon, Tony Revolori, Remy Hee, Martin Starr, J.B. Smoove, Jake Gyllenhaal, Tom Holland, and the glorious return of our boy, J.K. Simmons.
Yes, sir.
Oh man, you would
Mr.
not
Jameson.
You would not believe my reaction. Well, okay, Ryan, you would believe it.
It was probably similar to my reaction.
Oh, absolutely.
What the fuck are you talking
about? No one else could play that role. No one. Awards, winning several. No surprise here. Best Supporting Actress and Best Young Performance from a Younger Actor from the Academy of Sci-Fi, Fantasy, and Horror. Best Visual Effects or Animation from the Australian Academy of Cinema and TV. Best Supporting Actor from the National Film and TV Awards. Best Female Star and Best Female Star and Favorite Action Star from the People's Choice Awards. And Choice Movie, Choice Actor, and Choice Actress from the Teen Choice Awards. Lots of praise.
You have Tom Holland and Zendaya. Like, they're gonna win every single fucking award, guys!
Is it Zendaya or Zendaya? I've heard it both ways.
I'm pretty sure it's Zendaya.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I've heard it both ways.
Sure.
I'm dumb though. I don't know which one it is.
Guys, if you want to call me a moron, please comment below. But I'm pretty sure it's Zendaya.
Well, Ryan, you may not know how to pronounce it. I may not know how to pronounce it, but you know what you do know? You know some fun facts.
I do! I know some fun facts. I know 3 fun facts, in fact. First off, one of Tom Holland's favorite action scenes takes place in Venice when the water elemental attacks. Peter runs across a series of poles where some bolts are docked. I knew that was him. It looked so damn good. Holland's one regret was that he did not follow the stunt coordinator's advice to wear shin guards. Because if you fuck up, oh boy, that's gonna hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Always listen to your stunt coordinators, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever have stunt coordinators. Anyway.
That's that gymnastics train right there for you folks.
Yes, sir. Next up, Jake Gyllenhaal is almost never seen wearing anything other than his full, quote-unquote, superhero suit throughout. It was actually suggested to him that he wear something else for certain scenes, but according to him, he genuinely liked wearing that suit so much he refused to wear anything else. A keen eye can see Gyllenhaal in character spying on Peter Parker in street clothes just before Peter purchases the Black Dahlia necklace before Hydra Man attacks. Gotta keep your eyes open, guys.
I might need to rewatch that scene just so I can see that one moment, because I may have missed it.
Yeah, it's real good. It's real subtle. It's super subtle. I only caught it on the rewatch. Finally, when Peter meets Beck, Beck explains that Peter is in Earth 616, but that Beck comes from Earth 833. Comic book readers might recognize Earth 616 as the traditional designation for the main Marvel universe. Earth 833 refers to the universe in which Spider UK serves as a member of the Captain British Corps. I immediately, as soon as he heard, I said, this is Earth 616, I'm like, this is fucking brilliant. Good job, guys. It also gets to a really good point I'm going to make about Mysterio's first arc that I'll save for later, but yeah.
I'm interested to hear that. Some initial thoughts going into this. I like this a lot more than Homecoming. But I'm also a huge Mysterio fan, so there's probably some bias there. Overall, this movie's a lot of fun with some fantastic visuals. Just hands down, fantastic visuals. I don't think it hits me as hard as Raimi's first films did, but I do think it's a sign that the MCU Spider-Man films will grow into something bigger and better than what they've ever been.
Well put. I largely feel the same. This was fantastic. I never thought we would get a real Mysterio on the big screen, and this more than surpassed my expectations. I also see it as a sign of the Spider-Man films kind of growing into their own and kind of stepping out from certain big hero shadows, which I'm really, really happy for. So, yes, I think it's great improvements on Homecoming, which in and of itself was not bad at all. So I'm very excited for what this means for the future of Spider-Man.
God, remember when Mysterio used those fucking, gas cubes to fuck with people?
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
That would not translate to this movie at all, but just, the idea of it just makes me laugh still. And he's like, oh, hey, I got a little cube here we go.
It's alright, we got drones, man. We got drones.
If drones hadn't become as popular as they are now, this movie would not have happened.
Yes, 100%. This absolutely played on that.
I got a synopsis for you. I don't think it's as robust as the last one, but you know what? We're gonna give it a whirl anyway. You ready?
It's always good for me, man. Bring it.
Peter and his class are whisked away on a class trip to where he intends to not be Spider-Man for a while. Just take it easy, relax, smoke a doobie. It's cool. As you can guess from the title of the film, that ain't fucking happening. During their trip to Europe, an elemental creature attacks the city. Peter, just wanting to hook up with MJ, unleashes his sexual frustrations on Hydro Man. He is picked up by Nick Fury soon after to be debriefed on the situation. A man from another world, which is a concept yet to be established in the MCU proper, claims that these elementals are from his world. and he wants to stop them from being there, or help them stop them, or whatever, you know what I mean. Everyone instantly believes this, which seems very out of character for Nick Fury. Spider-Man refuses to help at first because he just wants to keep his identity secret. You know what? Fair play. They let him go, but Fury gives him a gift from Stark. A pair of rad spectacles. I said receptacles.
Rad receptacles.
Yep, couple trash bins. Really cool.
Tricked out trash bins. Rad receptacles. Please keep going, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's good. After nearly blowing up his school bus with attack drones, Peter is given a new suit and a lecture from Fury about being responsible with Stark's gift. Another elemental attacks during a street festival, and we're told it's the last one. Finally, thank Christ. It's beaten by Peter and Mysterio, but something falls out of it, landing near MJ. A little odd, a little weird. Fury wants to form a new team with Mysterio and Spider-Man, but Peter has other plans. He gives Mysterio Stark's glasses, thinking he's a better fit for the next Iron Man than Peter ever would be. Probably true. It is revealed, however, after Peter leaves, that Mysterio isn't from another Earth. He's actually from this hell world instead. He's out for revenge against Iron Man by taking his tech. He utilizes the glasses, which control an army of drones, to upgrade his illusionary monsters to another level for one more big event in London. Peter tries to talk to MJ about his feelings. She cuts him off to state that the obvious is, well, you're Spider-Man. It's awkward, but they're interrupted by a thing from her backpack going off, projecting a hologram. They realize that the monsters were never real, but inside us all along. I mean, the hologram.
That's too deep.
The hologram's all along. Mysterio is lying. Peter tries to meet Fury to explain, but Mysterio catches up to him and fucks him up real good with a series of illusions. Mwah! Great scene, by the way. Great scene. Peter awakens in the Netherlands to be picked up by Happy Hogan. They have a heart-to-heart, and Happy contacts Fury while Peter builds himself a new suit. He arrives in London to fight Mysterio's final illusion, while the class tries to defend itself against drones or some shit. Fighting happens, and Mysterio tries to fake his death to get a one-up on Peter. But it fails. Mysterio dies, and Peter disables the drone army. The class returns home, and Peter now has a girlfriend. All is great in the life of Peter Parker once again. Wait, not so fast! We have a breaking news story from the legendary news anchor, J. Jonah Jameson.
This guy.
Doctored video was sent in showing Spider-Man orchestrated the attack on London, and we even get a confession from a dying Quentin Beck that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Now the whole world knows who he is, and we get a post-credit scene where it's revealed that Nick Fury and Maria Hill were actually Skrulls the whole time in this movie, and the real Nick Fury is on vacation on a Skrull ship for reasons we don't really know yet.
Yay! They're all Skrulls! Everybody's a Skrull!
Get Oprah on the couch like, you're a Skrull, and you're a Skrull, and you're a
Everybody's
Skrull.
Skrulls!
Skrulls for everybody.
Fucking fantastic.
Ryan, what'd you think of that one?
I thought it was fantastic. Honestly, I had such a blast with this movie. And I know we've got a lot to talk about. Now, in previous discussions that we've had just general conversations where I end up answering all of your questions before you ask them. Do you want to just go straight to the discussion? The actual questions?
Well, okay, before we get into them, is there any particular thing you wanted to hit first?
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna say this this iteration of Mysterio is done brilliantly, primarily because of the work of Jake Gyllenhaal and how they wrote this character. When they initially showed the trailer for this, and they had him as this almost Iron Man looking dude that's also casting up glyphs and throwing energy like he's using magic, I'm just like, okay. It looks like Mysterio. I'm pretty sure it's Mysterio. Is he but are they gonna remake it so that Mysterio is now something else in this world? We've seen things change slightly from in the transition. Maybe they're gonna have it fit something different. It'll be interesting. And then throughout the first arc of the first half of the movie, the first arc really, you get a really interesting portrayal of this guy Beck as a hero who has been fighting for the longest time, but still has a bit of softness left in him to really connect with Peter and really know exactly where he's coming from and really empathize with him. So I kind of felt sad that version of Beck didn't exist, because he was actually really interesting and really cool. But the twist where he's just and that's how it's done, and we just pulled off the heist of the century, and the comically blown up villain that he becomes afterwards, it serves to separate the two so far that they feel like they're completely different people. Mm-hmm. For the first arc, you really are almost convinced that this guy is the real deal. They even use the Earth 616 drop aimed specifically at comic readers, at comic book fans, to almost give you a little more authenticity to his claim. He knows this is Earth 616, and they're like, well, yeah, this is Earth 616. Maybe he's actually talking. Maybe he's actually giving us the real deal. Maybe this is just how it's gonna be set up moving forward in the MCU. And then he pulls a fast one over everybody. I love it. I really, really love how they managed to fool not only casual moviegoers, but also comic book viewers who know who Mysterio is, but the act that they make is that fucking good. It stands up to scrutiny until the twist. So I loved it.
So for me, I think Mysterio. So going into it, I was 100% cognizant. Okay, Mysterio's in the movie. He is the bad guy, no question asked. The question really is, what is the reveal going to be? Because listen, guys, listen. I get that, the trailers are oh, hey, he might be a good guy. Oh, he's from the Earth. This could be a legit thing. I'm okay, listen. I understand what you're trying to do, and I respect you trying to, not trick, but to give a twist to the non-comic fans and all this stuff. But listen. Mysterio's my boy. Mysterio's the guy who I've been wanting to see in these movies for years. He is a bad guy through and through. You cannot fucking fool me. So yeah, no, to me it was all about that twist, and I think they executed it very well. It's kind of like the end of Endgame a little bit, where, yes, I know the heroes are going to win. Yes, I know that the ones who died are going to come back. But it's about how you do it, and it's about the actors reacting to it themselves. You can't fool me, but I love seeing how the actors you're going up against, how they react to it, and how it kind of fools their characters. You sold me on that part. You sold me that Peter believed it and everything. You sold me that Nick Fury believed it, even if I'm kind of still questioning why he trusted Beck so easily. But overall, no, I think Mysterio is great, and he's probably my favorite villain of all of the Spider-Man movies we've done so far, with maybe an exception to Willem Dafoe. But it's a high bar.
That's a high bar. It's Willem Dafoe.
I guess the question I have for you regarding Mysterio is, what does he bring to the narrative that other Spider-Villains have just failed to do? Or maybe they haven't failed, but what's he do better than what they do?
So this is interesting. I feel like this movie in general was strategically aimed at what people considered weak points in Homecoming. And when I say that, I feel like a lot of the prime issues that we were talking about and that everybody else was talking about was that it feels like they were he was in Iron Man's shadow too much. Mm-hmm. They were leaning on the fact that Iron Man brought this guy in. His whole suit was made by Iron Man, and da 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 da. So in this movie, they kind of hit us in the face with that, and like having Tony's face everywhere, having this overwhelming pressure for him to be the next Iron Man, to be the Iron Spider, to really be all of this stuff. I feel that Mysterio leans into that in a very subtle way, by inadvertently playing into Peter's like ideas of self-doubt. He's being reassuring and he's endearing Peter to him, but he's also like portraying a much better hero in Peter's mind than he could ever be, and somebody that would be a more suitable successor for Iron Man's mantle. So I think overall, if we're talking about Mysterio in general, I think he does emotional manipulation better than any Spider-Man villain we have seen thus far. And it ultimately serves the thesis of the movie, which is that Peter needs to rely on himself. He needs to be more himself, and rather than focusing on all of these external things, all of these external pressures, but being who he is actually supposed to be, like more himself, more Spider-Man. And when he relies on that, when he turns inward, that's when the fucking spider sense goes to 11. That's when he starts being able to fight blind and seeing through every illusion that Mysterio throws at him.
Damn, so, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. Well, speaking of Peter relying on himself, let's ask this then: does Spider-Man work outside the classic New York setting? Why or why
not? We mentioned this in the Venom podcast a little bit, but in regards to, I think it's interesting seeing him outside of New York. But I think ultimately, what you said earlier, Spider-Man is intrinsically New York. He is like the heart, the spirit of the city of New York, of the state of New York. So I think it's fun for a short jaunt, and like it's fun for a vacation. But like he's built for New York, and he thrives in New York. I don't think there's a better hero suited towards that city than Spider-Man. So it'll be good to see him go back to that, hopefully, in Spider-Man 3.
Indeed. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that, especially with all the reveals and shit. We'll get that in a minute. Does the Euro trip feed into the character growth and development, or is it played more for laughs? Does it work or not? What do you think?
I think it's a fun setting. I think it's a fun change of pace, and like if you want to stretch the metaphor a little bit, it kind of symbolizes how out of his depth Peter really feels, because he's like essentially drowning, trying to be Iron Man, trying to be.
I get it, because he's fighting a water monster.
Yeah, no, because he's fighting a water monster. Yeah, because he's drowning in a fucking hologram. No, but
you don't know how holograms work?
No, I don't. But I didn't know they could make you drown. But shit, you learn the more you know. Still, I think overall it functions better as a set, like as a location. There can be some story, like some narrative element to it, like being out of your depth and being in an unfamiliar place and trying to really adapt to it. But I think ultimately it's just a fun change of pace before we bring him back home and he really gets to jam out in New York, because we haven't seen Peter really get to be in New York, like the big New York City fight scenes and whatnot. We got a little bit of the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and like him running around doing small things in New York, and we got to see the fun set piece where he's traipsing throughout the city and like taking selfies at the end of Far From Home. So I'm gonna be interested to see more city fights and like just more of Spider-Man existing in New York, which I'm hoping we get in episode 3. Wow, in the third
Episode
movie.
3, Revenge of the Spider.
Duel of the Spiders. There it is.
All right. So back to Peter again. Do you buy into the relationship Peter has with MJ? How does it compare to the first MJ or even Gwen?
I like this. I think it's so high school. It's so high school. It's painful at times, but it's super cute, and I think it's more authentic that way. You know, like they, instead of making MJ the unobtainable girl next door that's like super beautiful and like eventually ends up becoming like a trophy, they made her into this weird paranoid girl that for some reason hangs out with Peter, and whom he really, really likes, and is really surprised when she really, really likes him, even though from an outsider's perspective it's super obvious that she really likes him in this movie. But he's completely oblivious to that, which is good. I think it's truer to the high school experience that way, and they're both awkward but super cute, and I think they have great chemistry. So I think I'm digging it. It doesn't, or at least we haven't gotten to like the deep emotional beats that we got in the Raimi films with MJ and Peter, but that's also because they're still babbies, so we can't really do all that just yet. But
so yeah, that'll probably be the next one at the earliest, even.
Maybe. I don't know if we'll ever get like deep like MJ, like Peter and MJ relationship woes like we got, or at least not for a good long while.
Yeah, I hope I don't get those kind of like depressing relationship woes like we did in Spider-Man 3. Like, I love Spider-Man 3 for that alone.
So good,
but like I don't want it here yet. I don't want to hear yet. You're right. I don't want it here yet. Like I like. We are dealing with Peter Parker in the summer of his youth, like 16, 17-year-old Pete, just doing his fucking thing, trying to figure out girls in high school. I want to enjoy this innocent Peter for a good long while before we hit him with some more tragedy, because there's one thing Spider-Man's got, it's fucking tragedy. Man, I wish Tony was still alive just so he could go up to Mr. Stark and be like, Mr. Stark, I need your help. There's a girl I like, and then he could just give him all sorts of horrible advice about women.
Oh, God. Yes, please.
We missed that so much. That would have been great. But before we move on, do you think this movie has anything really interesting or deep to say about high school relationships, or just kind of not particularly?
Yeah, I don't think it's anything particularly deep or profound. I just think it does it well. I think it does it very well. It's awkward and authentic. So, and the chemistry between Tom Holland and Zendaya, I love it. Like, I think they have a really cool, quirky, awkward like chemistry between them. But it's endearing because you can tell that they really like each other, and it's really cute. I'm down for that. I'm down for that.
All right. So the next question we've touched on a little bit, but this is let's get in a little more depth. What are your thoughts on how how this Peter's antagonists are dudes burned by Tony Stark? And how does the Shadow of Iron Man shape Peter's story?
Well, I think, yeah, and you're right, we did address it a little earlier, but I think in this movie in particular, they leaned into it so that he can come out of it on the other side more his own person. I would be very surprised and pretty disappointed in Marvel if the next Spidey villain is tied to Stark in any way. I would be very surprised and disappointed. The first one, they did it like approximately, because Vulture was never burned directly by Stark, but more just like Stark's company is gonna handle everything, and it was more just a the plight of the little guy against, like, corporations and how they have to turn to crime because, like, fucking corporations are screwing the planet out of all of its resources. I'm sorry, I'm not political or anything, so let me just keep going.
Fuck big corporations.
Right. But I think that was more what they were going for in that original movie. But of course, everybody was like, oh, so you mean to tell me we can't even get Spider-Man's rogue gallery without Tony Stark? And I'm like, okay, fair. Incidental, but fair. I can see that, Greg. This one, I think they leaned into it specifically to emphasize the point that he cannot be Iron Man. He cannot be Tony Stark. And in the end, he embraces himself, he creates his own suit, and he comes up with cool, innovative ways that are distinctly Spider-Man, and ultimately relying on his own power that doesn't come from the suit or technology. He just closes his eyes and lets his fucking precognition go full blast. It's ultimately him relying on himself that gets him out of Tony's shadow by beating this guy that Tony created. So I think they intentionally steered into the skid in that instance, and I'd be very surprised and, again, disappointed if they go back to the well in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, I think them steering into this skid, like you said, was a smart play here. It allowed them to do something that you wouldn't have expected right away, and it plays really well. I think you're right. If they do another Iron Man dive for any extent, for any reason, there's not a lot of justification for it. I guess I could kind of see it if you are setting up the next Iron Man with a different character, and like maybe he's someone that knew Tony or was familiar with Tony, and so they're going through Spider-Man to get to that position. Maybe.
Nah.
But I feel like you could do that in a different movie and it'd be better for it. So
yeah. Like if you have anything in the MCU directly tying to Iron Man separately, and then you bring Spider-Man into it, okay, sure, that makes sense since Peter Parker was pretty much his son. That's fine. Like, I get that. But this movie really had him strike out on his own and then threw him in the deep end again by saying, okay, now everybody knows who you are. Go. Like, so he's going to have to deal with that. And that is in no way connected to Tony Stark at all. So he's just going to have to navigate that on his own. And that will be really interesting to see. But, like, if you have Riri Williams show up in somebody else's movie, or and she's starting to develop stuff where like she starts doing her thing out in New York, and then you have Spider-Man swing up and like, hey, let me give you some advice.
He does a shoulder touch.
Yeah, he doesn't do the shoulder touch. I want to see and he's young for it. So while I'm enjoying this young Peter Parker, I'm excited to get to adult Peter Parker because adult Spider-Man gets to be mentor to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And he gets
including himself.
Including himself, yeah. But yeah, like other Spider-Men. But he gets to do what Tony did for him. And so now that if we've got the arc where he's starting as a young superhero that was taken under the wing of a great superhero, when we see him become an adult and be able to do that to other young superheroes, that will be a really touching moment that'll have been years in the making. So I can't wait to see that.
And then what else we got here? Speaking of what you mentioned a minute ago, the end of the film presents us with for the first time the Spider-Man's identity is now public knowledge. What does this mean for the future of the franchise going forward, and do you think this can be undone?
I don't know. I don't. So the only the Spider-Man lore that I know, when his identity is made public knowledge, is after Civil War in the comics, mm-hmm. where Peter is on Team Iron Man, where they're going for the registration and they're going for like more regulation of superheroes, and he's like, as a show of faith and my belief in Tony Stark's proposed system, I am going to be the first to register. And live on air, he takes off his mask and he's Peter Parker, and everybody's like, holy shit. But that's adult Spider-Man, and you see adult ramifications because Aunt May ends up getting shot for that shit. So, how we show the ramifications of losing your secret identity for a high school Peter Parker, I have no idea where they're going to go with it. I'm really excited to see it, because that is definitely not anything they've done in the comics as of yet. That's an adult Spider-Man problem, and we're giving it to him when he's 17. So I can't wait to see what the fuck is up. I can't wait.
I'm genuinely surprised they're rushing to this concept very quickly. Like, it makes sense that with how you did it with Mysterio, that is, like, the way you deliver it, yes. But I do think it's interesting how quick they're jumping to this particular idea.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
No, it's not. It's just surprising how early you're doing it.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting because this is the first time that both casual movie fans and comic book fans are like, I don't know where the fuck they're going with this. I do not know what's going to happen. So now everybody is waiting on, with bated breath, on what the next Spider-Man movie does. Because we're all in uncharted territory here. And I love that they used Mysterio to do it, because this is actually the first time where the Spider-Man villain wins.
Yep.
Mysterio won at the end. Like, he beat, like Peter beat him, but even in death, he is the hero. And he manipulated that with his message of people are so scared they'll believe anything. And it's easy to fool people when they're already lying to themselves. So him being able to spin a convincing story and solidify his legacy as a hero even after he dies as a final fuck you to Peter. Mwah! Perfect. And it throws him into uncharted waters. I'm so down for this. I have no idea where it's going to go, but I'm so down for it.
Ryan, people being manipulated by fear through the media? No, that's not a thing.
This movie isn't political at all.
Certainly.
Oh my god. First Spider-Man was about big business screwing up with the little guy, and the next is the evil of media corporations. They're not saying anything political in these movies at all.
And don't forget the gun rights that were in Winter Soldier.
Oh boy. Ooh, oh man, don't even get me started on the fucking NSA. The whole NSA conversation that was started on, in the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm. Check out that podcast, everybody. It's a good one.
Ooh, boy.
It's an old one, too. Shit. But no, so... Yeah. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'll tell you this much. The fact that the door is wide open for a lot of new ideas, it interests me. Because if you hadn't done it, I would have expected a Venom story. I would have expected a Green Goblin story. I would have expected the same basic stuff you get from Spider-Man without question. Because those are the staple stories you want to tell. But they're not doing that. Or at the very least, I'm not getting the impression it's the direction they're going to take it. So the question now becomes, what does the future Spider-Man look like? For both the franchise and the story. And hear me out. I think you establish enough of the villains of Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. Between this, and if you want to include Venom, you can. I'm not gonna, but you could. But you've established enough background villains where you could arguably make a Sinister Six happen. It's probably rushing it to do it now.
God.
I'd wait for a fourth film. But you could at least start getting your way to it. And with everyone knowing who Spider-Man is, that just makes it easier for them to target him like they were going to anyway.
Oh man, you're right. I don't want to see teenage Peter Parker having to deal with the Sinister Six. They'll kill him. They'll actually kill him. But you're right. They've already kind of laid the groundwork for that. With Vulture and having
Scorpion.
having the guy who's going to be Scorpion show up. Like they've already, you're right, they have already laid the groundwork for that to happen.
You see, Sony, this is how you do it.
Yes, this is how you appropriately pace your fucking comic book stories.
Oh god.
They'll learn one day.
They'll learn one day. Sinister Six is an option. I also think that the other option is Kraven the Hunter. And
I really want Kraven. Oh my god.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Kraven the Hunter, played by Jason Momoa, would be the way to do it. And here's the thing. Kraven is out for his he's hunted every animal. He wants the next big game. He wants the next big challenge. Spider-Man, a man who's part spider, part man. He doesn't know the whole story, but that's what he thinks it is. He's got to go for it. I don't think Kraven the Hunter can carry a movie entirely by himself. I think you might need a secondary villain that either pushes him into that role of going after Peter, or like utilizes the situation to his advantage and ultimately forces Kraven and Peter to work together at the end. But I do think no matter who that other person's going to be, Kraven is a solid pick. It pushes Peter to new limits. It introduces a character who's not been on film, and it gives Peter a potential ally in the coming Sinister Six fight.
Possibly. Definitely, possibly. I mean, I'm not entirely sure, like, if, like, they're gonna have Vulture be a part of the Sinister Six because of how they ended Homecoming and the sense of honor that they established in his character, because he refused, like, Vulture already knows who Peter Parker is. Like he already knows who Spider-Man is. And he refused to say anything because A, he saved his daughter, and B, he saved him, even after he tried to kill him. So how you excuse that character pulling a complete 180 and saying, "Nah, fuck this kid, let's go kill him"? I don't know. Possible, but I don't know.
I could see him join the Sinister Six and then betraying it later, but I don't know. That's a sticky one to get into. Even if, because who knows if they're going to bring Michael Keaton back for it.
Right. Now, I think what's more likely to happen is that they will tie it to a future MCU property that we haven't seen yet. Because if there's one thing they're really good at, it's laying groundwork for other movies in other people's movies. Just like we'll lay the foundation for Stephen Strange in fucking Winter Soldier, like 5 years before that movie ever comes out. Hell yeah, we will, because they're really good at doing that shit. So it's highly possible that they haven't even set up the villain for Spider-Man yet, because it's going to be, the concept of it is, or the basis of it is going to be introduced in a future movie. We just haven't seen it yet.
Maybe. Also, what villain do you want to see come up next?
Man, I don't know, man. I honestly don't know. Like, Spider-Man has such a great rogues gallery and so many fun guys to choose from. Like, I don't honestly know. I would be interested in seeing. Nah, we already kind of did the Shocker with Bokeem Woodbine's character, and he was just kind of a throwaway grunt, which is fine. Not necessary. I wouldn't really want to see the Rhino just yet. I think my money would be on Kraven, because we haven't seen him on the big screen as of yet, and it would be an interesting cerebral villain to throw him against, especially after he just got through with Mysterio. Like we'd be developing Peter as a really smart hero, and having to deal with the wicked cunning of Kraven the Hunter would be a good power up for him as well. So I think you've got it. I think if there was anybody I'd want to see, it would probably be Kraven next.
Yeah. God, the worst part is I've put my money on Craven for a while now, for like the last movie as well. I was wrong. I'm really hoping I got it this time, but I guarantee you I'm wrong. It's gonna be something stupid that I don't think is coming, and then they'll be like,
"Hey, your last guess was Craven, and your last guess was Craven, and they did it even better than you'd hope because we got a honest to goodness Mysterio." So.
I never thought Mysterio would happen. That's why I didn't guess it.
Yeah. So I mean, you might be wrong with Craven, but then they come up with like somebody ridiculous. You don't know.
Maybe.
We might get a really, really kick-ass version of Scorpion.
I'm very antsy on Scorpion. I don't know if that's going to play very well, because that costume's very goofy.
We might get the Prowler, but we can't really introduce the Prowler without really going into Miles Morales.
Yeah, well, you can.
You can, but
you shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
I don't know, man. The future of Spider-Man looks pretty good right now. Like, if you had asked me back in 2014, when it was Amazing Spider-Man still coming out, I'd be like, man, I don't want to see Spider-Man for a while. Just fucking end it right now.
Like, just give him a few years to breathe, please.
But no, it's 2020, and the future is really looking good. We've had a lot of good Spider-Man stuff lately. Hell, that's why we did a whole new season of this. There's no new Spider-Man coming out this year. I mean, I guess Morbius and Venom 2 technically, but we're not going to cover those right now. But no. This is a good golden era for Spider-Man. Things are really looking up on all fronts, and I'm just excited to see what comes next. I really am. Yeah. Any other talking points about the movie that we didn't cover yet?
I think we covered it. This was fantastic, dude. Like the fucking if I'll gush briefly on his initial fight against Mysterio, because that was the worst acid trip I've ever seen, and it was so well done. I was just like, yes. Like I was genuinely terrified during that scene. It was just like, this is good. This is gripping.
So it reminds me of the Arkham games Scarecrow sections, where you really dive deep into the head of the character, and you have the villain causing these illusions, these manifestations, to just get inside so-and-so's head and just completely mess with them. The benefit here, though, for Mysterio, is he knows who Peter is. He's gotten some background info through his time with Nick Fury, so he's able to really personalize the message specifically for Peter, and the way that he knows will best hit him hard. So it makes the illusions that make Peter feel inadequate to Iron Man and all that stuff, it really makes it feel just that more poignant. Whereas the stuff you see from Scarecrow to Batman, it's the same generic stuff you always see Batman freak out about, because Scarecrow doesn't know who Batman is, and he can't tailor-make that stuff for a specific person. It's just a generic fear gas. So I think this works very well. And the whole sequence just... It's nice to see Peter go through these dark sequences like this, and I don't know, I think it's whenever a character gets pulled into this, like, dark mental space for their character. So everything about that scene is good. I honestly could watch that on repeat a couple times and still just not get tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is Far From Home. Pretty good stuff. If you want to email us your favorite locations to send Spider-Man to for vacation next, you can send it to us on Tumblr, Twitter, or the Facebooks. You can let us know, and we'll debate that a little bit. Maybe Spider-Man in Japan. Ooh, man, wouldn't it be cool to see Spider-Man go to Japan and then meet his Super Sentai Spider-Man?
Well, I mean, he's also got to study like the way of the spider. Doesn't he train with some monks eventually?
I don't remember. There's a lot of Spider-Man stuff I am so not privy to. Dude, his comics are weird sometimes. Like the fucking Clone Saga, I checked out on hardcore.
Oh no, we gotta get Secret Wars. Secret Wars.
If you wanna message us about why Ryan's wrong about Secret Wars, you should send a message to a certain email. Ryan, what's that email?
That email is I was a Skrull the whole time! I'm sorry. No, it's evacstation@gmail.com. I'm not a Skrull. I'm really not.
And for those wondering why we didn't discuss the Nick Fury being a Skrull thing more, there's not a lot to go on yet. We don't really know what that's about. So tune in next time and maybe we do.
It was
Who
really
knows?
cool.
It's
It was really, really
interesting.
cool.
It's an interesting idea. Don't know where it's going. So we'll do the final thoughts and close out here, ranking our movie from gold to shit and all the or platinum shit and all the colors in between. I forgot to do that intro to this part. Ryan, where would you rank this movie? For reference, we did rank Homecoming as a bronze, if I remember right.
I do remember that. I remember our initial ranking of Homecoming as a bronze because it didn't have too much interesting to say in and of itself, aside from establishing like high school Spider-Man, which was good. It serves as a good basis for everything that happens, but it wasn't really doing anything super interesting by itself. This one, I feel like they looked at every single complaint that the fans had for Homecoming and said, okay, we're going to steer into them and we're going to punch them in the face and we're going to address them. And I think this movie really capitalizes on that. They said, we made him too analogous to Iron Man. Good. We're going to have the main pressure be on his inability to be Spider-Man and make it so that he realizes he can't be Iron Man, so he has to be Spider-Man. Like, he can't be Tony Stark, so he has to be his own character, and we're going to drive through that. Same thing with the villain, being too closely tied to Iron Man. We're gonna have him be directly tied to Iron Man and have Peter overcome what should have been Iron Man's villain by being the best Spider-Man he could be and just really capitalizing on his own power rather than the technology given to him by Tony. I think this movie does a lot to make up for the shortcomings of Homecoming, which there weren't many, but they answered them, and I think it makes me really excited for the future of Spider-Man. Also, a fantastic fucking performance by Jake Gyllenhaal and the best Mysterio I ever could have asked for. I'm going to give this a gold. Honestly, I'm going to give this a gold. This is a fantastic movie. It's a wonderful way to end Phase 3, and it sets up such a bright future, not only for Spider-Man, but also for the MCU.
Gotcha. Well, I'm going to have to concur. I'm going to give it a gold as well, because I genuinely think that while there are some low points for me, like, I am not super hype on some of the high school goofiness, but at the same time, that's kind of the background stuff to fill in Peter's character, give him some breathing room. The stuff that hits hard, the Mysterio stuff, the illusions, the Peter overcoming Tony's shadow, or at least trying to, understand it better. I think all of that works really well. Certainly not a platinum. I think Spider-Man's got a ways to go before it gets to another platinum. But this is really good. This is on par or just around the same spot as Spider-Man 2 for us. So, yeah, it's good to see them tracking really well, tracking upwards. Ryan, I know this is normally where we cut out, but there is one more thing we have yet to do.
Really?
There is. Let me send you a link.
Link?
And you can help me find a place for Spider-Man Far From Home on our list of Countdown to Infinity.
Oh, man! Oh,
you forgot, didn't you?
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
So, for those who are keeping score at home, our top ranking MCU film right now is Avengers Endgame. The bottom is Iron Man 3. Ryan, where could we place this on the list?
Oh, shit. Oh, okay, hold on. I'm sorry. Now I have to think. Wait. Okay, it definitely, we've established that it was better than Homecoming. Definitely.
Is it better than Iron Man? The movie it's in the shadow of?
I'd be willing to say it's better than Iron Man. Yes.
Okay. We can pop up a little bit.
Yeah.
So Captain Marvel. Okay, so let me back up. It is not going to be better than Endgame or Infinity War.
Nope.
That's going to be tough sell for anybody. The other last Phase 3 movie that we have that we did was Captain Marvel. Is this above or below Captain Marvel?
It's better than Captain Marvel. It is.
All right. So next above that, we have Winter Soldier.
Oh my god!
Is this better or worse than Winter Soldier?
That's a fucking matchup! Wait, no! Hold on! Oh god. Is it better than the Winter Soldier? Shit. Ah. My bias is showing. That's my shit. Oh man. Fuck.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think he's quite sure what he wants to do yet. What's your heart tell you, Ryan?
Oof.
So I could help out here real quick and there we go.
Good job. Good job. Ah.
So if I had to, I'll weigh in real quick. So comparing Far From Home and Winter Soldier is a tough one because they're very different films. I would say Far From Home, much like Homecoming, still is aiming for a younger audience. Not like kids, but like high school kids, the teenage years. Winter Soldier definitely feels like a darker bend in a darker film in general. So it definitely feels like it's definitely more for the older audiences of the MCU. Winter Soldier also had a really big twist in regards to the framework of the MCU, i.e. Hydra's everywhere, and they're doing all sorts of shady shit, and that becomes a pretty big ripple effect for the TV show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and a few films following afterward. I think it's still even a part of the films as of today, because you still have Hydra references here and there in even Endgame, I think, with the time travel shit. So Winter Soldier feels like it overall is a bigger impact to the MCU series. As far as the individual film goes as well, I think it also holds up pretty well. It tells a very clean, very straightforward Captain America story with a very heartfelt, like, Bucky reunion kind of thing. So I could easily put Spider-Man Far From Home just below it. But if you have arguments to put it above, I could see putting it above too. What do you got? Got anything?
No, I think I think you got it. I'm trying to make sure I give it a fair shake, but yeah, Winter Soldier changed so much. It not only was it an amazing standalone film, but it also drastically changed the landscape for the entire MCU moving forward. Far From Home is fantastic and a really great standalone movie. And granted, the whole world knowing that Peter Parker is Spider-Man is pretty fucking big. But I gotta give it to Winter Soldier. Still, number 9 on this list is not fucking bad.
Dude, the fact that the top, 10 are all movies that I don't like any movies we really hate. I don't think. Let me go back to the list real quick. I'm making some changes to some of their stuff. Number 9, it's solid. I think the top 9 films are unquestionably some of the best things the MCU has to offer, and even the top probably 14 to 15 are some of the. Well, I guess I can even go 16 because of First Avenger. The top 16 are without a doubt stuff that's still fun to watch.
Yeah.
So. I don't know. I overall am loving how this list keeps growing with that as we do this show, and I'm looking forward to next year when we add some more stuff to it.
I completely forgot we had to do this.
Only for the MCU. Only it is special enough for this list.
I love it. Oh my god, that's wonderful.
So thank you all for joining us tonight. Today, I should say, however you're joining us. This has been a fun one. So thank you for joining us for Spider-Man. Next week we begin our new series, Women in Film. So hopefully you'll all be there to support us, because we all know you love women. We all know you love the ladies. Whether it's, sexual preference or just you are someone who respects women. The spectrum's there for everybody. We start off next season with Harley Quinn. And we will be rolling through some older female-centric films and ending, I think, with Wonder Woman 1984.
Yes. I'm very excited for that.
Yep. And as those are all coming live, you'll also be getting re-uploads of the DC EU films to tie into the Wonder Woman movie, of course. And then after that, if we ever get a fucking trailer for it, we will be doing the TV adaptation season with Bob's Burgers as our centerpiece for that one.
Yes. Oh, man, that'll be real good.
Yep, assuming Bob's Burgers trailer comes out and the movie does release this year. I still don't know anything about it yet. It's fucking a mystery to me.
It's supposed to be coming out in July, but I don't know.
Yeah. If not, well, we'll let you know what the plan change will be. So tune in next time for some Harley Quinn. And we'll see you. And we'll see you after the credits.
Bye.
Spider-Man, up next on the podcast line. Peter's out after 3, then gets rebooted by Sony. Look out, another Spider-Man. Evil light hits a stride, if you can dig on the side. Can you donate to our sub? $1 would be enough. And thus, it's the Epic Credits Cast.